I'll be photographing Tenby in today's landscape photography video. Tenby is an absolutely beautiful little fishing town. The main part is a lovely harbour down here, so I'll be photographing that. The sun is going to be coming up behind you, and I'm expecting it to just light up these beautiful coloured buildings. So I'm going to go a bit further on down the harbour and try and get some photographs of these. There's some boats in the water, so they'll be floating around, so I might be able to get some really stillness of the buildings in the background and some movement in the water and the boats floating around, so that might look quite good. And then a bit later on, I think I'm going to go up the top there where the hill is, up the top where you've got all these beautiful coloured flats and things up there, and I'm going to start photographing down in the harbour from up there. So hopefully by that time the sun will be coming down, so that should look absolutely beautiful. I've just walked down to the harbour now, and right behind me there you've got two lifeboat stations. This one, this side, is the old lifeboat station, and then they've built a new one which is just to the right of that one. And this morning the light is just kicking off. We've got some amazing colours in these clouds up here. They look absolutely stunning. We've got lovely pinks and oranges, and it's just amazing blue colour up there, so this looks amazing. This is just such a beautiful morning. Everything is just coming together. So I've decided to take a panorama of these beautiful clouds going along to these lifeboat stations, and to try and capture all of it in its glory I wanted to do a nice panorama. Now the lifeboat stations themselves will be pretty much silhouettes because the light is very bright behind it. So what I've done, I have put two neutral density filters over the lens. They're both graduated, but I've brought them right down to get as dark a photo as I can. If I use the 10-stop neutral density filter, it would have been too long an exposure, and I wanted quite a long one to blur the water, but I didn't want it too long to lose all this lovely colour. So I've just used two of these, which is 2 3-stops, so I've got 6-stop neutral density, and that's given me 15 seconds for each shot. So I panned around. I've taken probably about 12 photographs, and I'm using an f11 to get everything crisp. Because I'm using a long exposure, what I want is the water to be nice and soft and blurred, so you don't see these little waves on it, but the lifeboat stations should be the only things that are crisp in this image, so that will really emphasise all the movement. I don't think we're going to get much movement in the clouds because it's not a long enough exposure, so it's just going to be nice blurred water, and that should help to balance some of this reflection and bounce it back into the camera, and we should get some really beautiful colours there. So now I've taken that photograph, we're getting some amazing colours up there. So what I'm going to do is go over and photograph the harbour now with these beautiful colours in the background. So what I wanted to do is get a long exposure of these boats moving in the foreground, so they're slightly blurred, and then the static buildings in the background should add to the contrast of the movement of these boats. I've found some more compositions now. I've just moved up the harbour a little bit. The light is just hitting the top of these buildings. It's looking absolutely beautiful. It's just picking out some of them. And we've got nice light and shadow detail. I've taken another photograph now. I've changed the settings on the camera. I've added a polarizer on the front of the camera just to try and slow it down a bit more. And I've gone to f16. So what that's going to give me is a slight bit of blur in the water and a bit of movement in the boats. So that should just give a bit more contrast between the static background and the foreground of these boats. So it'll give a bit of movement and hopefully a bit more of a three-dimensional effect. So the light now is looking really beautiful, and I think that should look really good. So I'm quite pleased with that one. I'm going to now wander up there. So we've got the main town is up there, so I'm going to wander up there and just go around the harbour and see, because I think there's a little inlet somewhere over there. I think so. I'm going to have a look around there, see if there's any more photographs, and then I'm going to start heading up the top. I've just come up to the dry dock area, and we've got these lovely old warehouse style buildings around here. You've got some lovely boats down here. It does look pretty good. To get a photo, I think I might need to be down the bottom, but it's very sticky mud, and I haven't got my wellies with me today, so I'm not going to go down there. I'm just going to wander around here, see if I can get a nice composition, but for me it's not working this side. There are some lovely views up here. We've got the harbour over this side, we've got these amazing buildings over there, but haven't managed to get or see a composition from up here. But if not to worry, I'm just heading up the top, and I should definitely get a photo up there. I knew I shouldn't have gone down to the harbour. There's some really steep steps going up. I've done about 8 so far, so I've got a few more hundred to go to get up to the top. Right, I've finally made it now to the top of the hill. We've got these beautiful buildings behind me with all their different colours and things like that, so it's really nice up here. So we've got the harbour down there, the tide is out, you've got these really beautiful patterns reflecting the light off here. It looks amazing from up here, it's really good. So I've taken a photograph. Unfortunately we're a little bit either too early or too late. The sun is backlighting this scene at the moment, so there's no light on any of those buildings, so they're all in shadow. So it might work. We've got a lot of light from the water reflecting everything, so it should be bright enough, so I don't think there's too much contrast in this image. But I really do think this photograph works better in the evening when the sun's over behind you at the moment, so it will set over that way somewhere, so you get a lot of lovely light hitting all these buildings, and I think that'll work really well. So I may come back for sunset and take a photograph looking down at this beach if I can, but if not, I've got some really good photos anyway. The sun has gone behind the clouds now, so we're not going to get any light on the front of these buildings today, so it's gone very cloudy. I've taken a few shots when the sun was behind it, but it's gone behind these buildings now. So what I'm going to do is put on a polarizing filter, a 10-stop neutral density filter, and a 3-stop graduated filter to really darken this scene here. I've got the 3-stop over the sky because we've got some really nice clouds over there at the moment, so that should darken down the sky to really balance the foreground with the background. So with the polarizer and the 10-stop neutral density filter, we've got about 12 stops of light knocking out. So that's given me about, on f11, ISO 100. We've got, I think it's a 6-minute exposure, maybe 8-minute exposure. So we've got some movement in the clouds. You can just about see, if we're looking at the buildings over there, the clouds are moving slowly. So we're getting some nice movement going from the right hand side to the left. So even though we've lost the light in this one now, we should get a bit more drama in the sky, and this lovely water here is smoothed out, so that should look great. So ideally we'll get a bit of sun just popping through the clouds and light up the buildings as well, but I'm not too optimistic about that. I don't think that's going to happen. So we're just going to get some really nice blue light and some lovely movement in the clouds from an 8-minute exposure, and I think that should look really good. I've just heard that they're launching the Lifeboat from the station over there now in a few minutes, so I'm going to head over there and see if I can capture that. That should be some nice photographs, or video at least. I think it'd be great with a long lens, but I don't have that, so I might just video it instead. But that is over there, so I'm just going to wander around now. There's some really beautiful little alleyways around here. There's like little photo opportunities everywhere, so if you haven't been here before, I really recommend it. It's such a beautiful little place in Wales. So I'm heading that way now. I'm going to go towards the castle and then see if I can photograph a lifeboat. It looks like they're about to launch now. It's getting really noisy, so it should be really exciting. Just got some really great footage then of the lifeboat taking off. So Lisa and I asked if we can be on there as well. So we've got us driving one of the boats, which is really cool. So I'll put the photograph up for that now. I really do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time.